Hello everybody, my name is Mr. Nice Guy and welcome back to another episode of Road to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. In this episode we are doing things a little different. Instead of doing a live commentary while playing the game, I have already recorded the gameplay and will be doing a standard sit down and talk commentary. The reason for this is because I am playing Fox in this video, and Fox reminded me of a story that I want to tell you. So get your popcorn, get comfortable, and get ready for story time with Mr. Nice Guy. So this story starts back when I was in elementary school in the 1980s. Back then I lived in Compton, California and went to Anderson Elementary. Now, of course I was pretty much the best kid in my class and the teacher loved me. However, one day I went to class and we ended up having a substitute teacher. This teacher's name was Mr. Brodus, but most of you probably know him as Snoop Dogg. Now, this was before Snoop Dogg's music career took off and he just made music on the side. His real passion at the time was teaching. Just like all the other teachers, me, and let's just call him Snoop from now on, got along really well. On my walk home from school, Snoop and I happened to run into each other since we were headed in the same direction. During our walk, Snoop noticed a car that was slowly following us. He told me that the people in the car were dangerous and I should follow him. We took off running through some people's yards until we eventually lost them. Snoop told me that the people in the car were members of a gang and that he was actually a gangster himself. The people in the car were from a rival gang that wanted Snoop dead. Snoop Dogg told me all about the gang life and how it was actually not that bad. His gang was like a family to him and they looked out for each other. Inspired by his words, I actually decided to join his gang and become a member of the Crips. As a Crip, me and Snoop became quite good friends. We spent a lot of time doing typical gang activities. From smoking weed, doing drive-bys, and much more, we spent a lot of time together. One day, Snoop and I went to meet up with our typical drug dealer that would hook us up with some good kush for cheap. This guy's name was Andre, who later became the rap and producer legend Dr. Dre. Andre normally hangs out in the alley down the block with his boys, but for some reason, one of his boys told us that Andre wanted to meet up on the corner down the street. We thought this was kinda strange, but we did not think much of it at the time. Upon arrival, Andre was nowhere to be seen. Snoop and I were both confused at first until it finally hit us. We were set up. Suddenly, we heard the sound of gunshots. A car drove up on us and the people inside started to take shots at us. We both ran for cover but ended up hiding in completely different locations. We both hid and started firing shots back at them hoping they would leave. As I was shooting back at them, I noticed that none of the rival gang members were actually shooting in my direction. I figured that this means that their target is Snoop. So I had to do something in order to save him. Sadly for me, I used up all of my ammo in my gun at this point. Luckily, I kept my spare ray gun from Call of Duty Zombies in my left shoe at all times. It gets a little uncomfortable to walk around with that thing in there, but it really comes in handy for situations like these. So I used the ray gun and shoot underneath their car. Since everybody knows that ray gun shots blow up on impact, the second my shot hit the ground it exploded and launched their car into the air. Using my superior intellect and high IQ that even Albert Einstein would be jealous of, I made sure that the car would get launched directly to the police station that was located approximately 13 miles away. Their car landed perfectly fine on all four wheels, obviously planned by me, and right in front of Officer Jenny from the Pokemon series. Little known fact, Pokemon actually used to exist back in the day, but sadly became extinct after you were born. Yes, you watching this video. You were born so ugly that it caused every Pokemon to die. Anyway, Officer Jenny and her trusty Pokemon Arcanine captured the gang members and sent them all to the underworld for eternity. This was because back in the day, the police force actually used dark magic they learned from worshipping Satan in order to help stop crimes. In fact, the police force using Pokemon and dark magic is one of the reasons why, when the Pokemon games became popular, certain parents prevented their children from playing the games because they believed the games were satanic and evil. Anyway, after all that, I ran up to Snoop to make sure he was okay. As I approached him, I noticed he was bleeding. Turns out he was shot in the shoulder. Out of nowhere, Andre came to our help and gave Snoop a magical healing burrito made with senzu beans from Dragon Ball that instantly healed all of Snoop's wounds. Incredibly thankful, Snoop said he would do anything in order to repay us for saving his life. Andre knew that Snoop was a rapper on his free time, so he asked him to be in his new album called The Chronic by Dr. Dre, that would then go on to sell millions and became a classic rap album. It would not be until years later until Snoop repaid his debt to me for saving his life, In my critically underrated YouTube video titled The Legend of Snoop Dogg, I actually had Snoop do the intro for that video and make a rap. Yup, that was not actually me doing the rapping. With so much drama in the YouTube scene, it's kinda hard to go and not be mean, but somehow, someway, keep coming up with quality content like every single day. Anyway, flash forward to 2011, me and my good pals Fred, Daphne, Thelma, Shaggy, along with their dog Scooby from Mr. Inc., decided to go camping with each other. On a drive to the campsite, I noticed that the Batmobile was following us for a short period of time. This was strange to me because everyone knows that the Batmobile is associated with the Bloods. This made me nervous that they were following us because the Batmobile is much faster than the Mystery Machine in which I was driving in. Luckily, with my quick thinking, I decided to take an alternate path and take Rainbow Road. Due to the Mystery Machine having a better handling stat while the Batmobile focused more on speed, the people in the Batmobile messed up one of their drifts and fell off the track. Sadly for me, this meant that I was in first place now, and that douchebag Donkey Kong threw a blue shell. However, everyone knows that the Mystery Machine is equipped with a super horn, so I was able to destroy the blue shell with my inhuman reaction speed. One thing I did not know, however, is that blue shells in real life still blow up when they are destroyed with a super horn. The explosion of the blue shell sent us flying off Rainbow Road and sent hurtling down toward Earth at incredible speeds. At this point, it seemed unlikely that we were going to survive the fall, and I pretty much accepted that I was going to die. I started to reminisce on all the good times in my life. I closed my eyes and braced for impact. When I opened my eyes, everything was completely fine, and we just so happened to be at the campsite as well. Turns out that Scooby-Doo was actually the god of destruction Beerus from Dragon Ball, and used instant transmission to teleport us to safety. With Scooby's cover blown, and now that everyone knows he's not actually a dog, their television series was cancelled. Anyway, fast forward a couple days into our camping trip. Scooby-Doo and gang were depressed from their show being shut down, so I, being the amazing person that I am, came up with a good idea to get them feeling better. Since everyone knows this, and it is common knowledge, Mystery Inc. loves to go kayaking, so I decided to take them to a nearby river to go kayaking. As I make my way down the river, I notice something move in the forest next to me. Upon further inspection, it turns out that it was Shrek, leader of the Blood Gang. He lets out a mighty roar saying, "This is my swamp," and a bunch of blood jump out from behind the trees, pointing their guns at me. "Don't kill him," Shrek says as he walks slowly toward me. "I need you alive so I can use you as bait in order to find our true target, Snoop Dogg," he says. With nothing I can do to stop him, I put my hands up and accept my fate. Out of nowhere, Reggie Fils Aime from Nintendo crashes down in front of me on a warp star from Kirby, wearing a blue bandana meaning he's a member of the Crips. "My body is ready," he says to me, as his body transforms into a half-man, half-robot, jumping into the air. At the peak of his jump, rocket boosters open up on his back and boost him down towards Shrek and his fellow Bloods. With enough force, Reggie landed right next to Shrek, causing a massive shockwave, blasting Shrek and his gang away into the air, sending them all the way to Jamaica. After the dust had settled, I ran up to Reggie in order to thank him. I told him I was incredibly thankful for saving my life, and that he does a great job as president of Nintendo America. As I was shaking his hand, I hear a gunshot and Reggie was shot in the back of the head. It turns out that Velma was the one who shot him, and she was a Blood the entire time. She then transformed into a lizard person and captured me with her long iguana tongue so I could not move. I screamed for help, hoping that Fred, Daphne, Shaggy, or Scooby would be able to help me. But as soon as I did, they too revealed that they were members of the Bloods, and this whole thing was set up the entire time. They planned this from the very beginning, and when I say beginning, I mean that they were the ones inside the car that did a drive-by on Snoop and tried to get him killed. They wanted revenge on me for putting them in jail, as well as to find out where Snoop was so they could finally have him killed. Luckily, Reggie had superhuman regeneration due to him being a cyborg and came back to life without Velma or the rest of Mystery Inc. knowing. He then pulled out Fox McCloud's laser gun and used it to kill the entirety of Mystery Inc., including Scooby-Doo, who was a god of destruction. Yes, Reggie killed a god of destruction. Anyway, that's why I planned Fox and Super Smash Bros. Reminded me of this story, because Reggie used his blaster in order to save my life. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and enjoyed that story as well. It was completely real, none of it was made up at all. My name is Mr. Nice Guy, and I will talk to you later. Well, it's the end of the video, which means it's time to thank the wonderful people that support me on Patreon. So shoutouts to Taylor, Zach, Wally, Mr. Will, Serial, and Digi. Also shoutouts to Anna for being a member of my channel.